All right, proportions. Take just a second and think about, what do you already know about proportions? All right, so proportions are when we compare two or more ratios. And if they are equivalent to one another, they are called proportions. So for example, 2 over 3 is equivalent to 4 over 6. These are proportions, or these ratios are equivalent. 5 over 15 is equal to 1 over 3. These two ratios have the same relationship within each other. Proportions can also include variables, where we want to find out what is x. If 5 over 16 equals x over 8, what is x? And that's what we're going to work on. So it's important in a proportion first that we're comparing the exact same things. So in this first example here, we're saying that 1 book every 2 days is equal to 5 books every 10 days. We're comparing books over days on both sides. However, down here, these two are not proportionate. We have 1 book for every 2 days is not proportionate to 5 cars every 10 dogs. Now, if we're just looking at the numbers, 1 over 2 is equivalent to 5 over 10. But a book is not equivalent to a car, and a day is not equivalent to a dog. So we want to be really careful with proportions to make sure that we are comparing the exact same things. Now we can use this setup to find out if two ratios are proportionate or not. We use something called cross multiplication. So that's where we take this top number here and we're going to multiply by this bottom number over here. So we kind of make like this X, where we do like this. So for example, we're going to take, 1 book times 10 days. So 1 times 10 is 10. And then 2 books times 2 days times 5 books. 2 times 5 is 10. And we come up with 10 and 10, which means that these two ratios are proportionate. Now the 10 itself is not really important. All it's telling us is that 10 is the same thing as 10, which means this ratio is the same as this ratio. Now if we take something like this, for example, where we have 1 book every 2 days equals 3 books every 10 days, and we cross multiply and we say, 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 3 is 6. Well, 10 and 6 are not equivalent, which means that these two ratios are not proportionate. Pause this video and give these a try to see if they are proportionate or not. All right, so we have dollars over eggs, so that's great. And we're gonna cross multiply. So we have 3 times 18 is 54, and 12 times 4.5 is also 54. So that means that yes, these are proportions. Now on this next one, I've got trees over acres, acres over trees. So already I can see that these are not going to be proportionate no matter what the numbers are, because here I'm comparing trees over acres and acres over trees. Now if I think about this, 2 acres, that's like not a lot of space, and 24 trees, that's a lot of trees. It's probably pretty full of trees over here. Okay, small space, a lot of trees. Here I have 48 acres, that's a lot of space, and 4 trees. So these are not going to be proportionate, even though the numbers themselves may be proportionate to one another, because I'm not comparing the same things. This is not a proportion. All right, what about these? I'm not comparing any things, just numbers. Pause this video and work through these. All right, so I've got 18 times 15 is going to give me 270. And then I've got 6 times 45 is also 270. So yes. All right, here I've got 5.4 times 10 is 54. And 8 times 6.8 is 54.4. So they're super close, but they are not the same. So they are not proportionate. What about coming back to our bottles of ranch example? Are the prices proportionate to each other? So we said that we had $2.44 for 24 ounces, which was 10.2 cents per ounce. And then we had $1.98 for 16 ounces, and we said that was 12.4 cents per ounce. So if I compare these two unit prices, 10.2 cents over 1 ounce, 12.4 cents per 1 ounce, well, I don't think these are proportionate, but we're going to do the math just to find out. So 10.2 times 1 is 10.2, and 1 times 12.4 is 12.4. So these are not the same number, which means that no, these unit prices are not proportionate to each other. All right, so let's say instead, I'm at Winco. I buy 6 pounds of gummy bears for $17.88. My friend buys half a pound of gummy bears for $1.49. Take just a second. Are these unit prices proportionate to one another or not? All right, so if I have $17.88 for 6 pounds, I'm going to take $17.88 divided by 6. And I have $2.98 per 1 pound. And then I have $1.49 for half a pound. And I'm going to rewrite that as 0.5 pounds. So half is the same as 0.5. And if I take 1.49 divided by 0.5, I get $2.98 per pound. So I see these are the same, $2.98 and $2.98. So the unit prices are proportionate. Even though I spent way more money than my friend, we spent the same amount of money per pound. So we can also use proportions to help us figure out something we don't know. So in these last few examples, we've been just saying, are these things proportionate? And now we're looking at things where we're saying, okay, these two things are proportionate, but we don't have this piece of information. So we can use our cross multiplication to find out. So we have 1 times x equals 2 times 23. So 1 times x, I have to just leave it like that as 1x. 2 times 23 is 46. Now this 1 isn't really doing anything because 1 times something is just itself. So x equals 46, which tells me that if I can read 1 book every 2 days, I can read 23 books in 46 days. Now, let's say I'm looking at a map, and every map has a scale. You might have seen them like kind of at the bottom corner. They have this kind of thing that tells you that like this is 5 miles or something. Because obviously the map is not the same size as the thing that it is showing, but the sizes should be proportionate to the size of the actual thing the map is showing. So we're saying that this map has a scale, and it says every 5 centimeters on the map is 9 miles in real life. Now we know how many miles is 20 centimeters. So remember, I need to make sure I'm comparing the same things. I have miles on top, centimeters on bottom. And for this type of problem, it doesn't actually matter which one's on top or bottom. What matters is that I have the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going to cross multiply here again. So I have 9 times 20 equals 5 times x. Now 9 times 20 is 180 equals 5x. Well, now I can't just get rid of this 5 like I got rid of the 1. To solve this, I can see that 5 is multiplying x. And so I'm going to do the opposite thing and divide. Since it's 5 times, I'm going to do it divided by 5. But since I have this equal sign, I have to do the same thing on both sides. So now these 5s are going to go away. And 180 divided by 5 is 36 equals x. Which means on my map, 20 centimeters is 36 miles. Pause this video and give this one a shot. All right, so I'm cross multiplying here. I have x times 24 equals 16 times 6. So I have 24x equals 96. And now to get rid of this 24, I'm going to divide both sides by 24. So that I have x equals 4. Pause this video and give each of these a shot. All right, so I have n times 15 equals 6 times 10. I'm going to divide both sides by 15, and I get n equals 4. All right, let's look at this a different way. Let's say we have a word problem. We have we need 1.5 cups of sugar to make 20 brownies. How much sugar do I need to make 16 brownies? So again, all right, I'm saying 1.5 cups of sugar to 20 brownies. how much sugar do I need for 16 brownies? So I can do my cross multiplication where I have 1.5 times 16 equals 20 times x. So I have 24 equals 20x, and then I'll divide both sides by 20, and I end up with 1.2. So I need 1.2 cups of sugar for 16 brownies. Pause this video and give this one a shot. All right, so if I have 6 ounces of noodles, and that's 3 servings, how many ounces of noodles do I need for 8 servings? So I'm cross multiplying. 6 times 8 equals 3 times x. 48 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. So I need 16 ounces of noodles for 8 servings. All right, give this one a shot. Okay, so we have 70 sessions for $790. For 120 sessions, how many dollars? And again, it doesn't matter what I have on the top or the bottom, as long as I have the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going to cross multiply. 70 times x equals 790 times 120. So then I get 70x equals 994,800. And I'm going to divide both sides by 70 so that I get x equals $1,354.29. This one will be different. This one tells us there's a property that's valued at $830,000 and the tax is $9,130. I want to figure out which of these proportions could I use to find the tax on a property that is worth $630,000. And I'm going to tell you right now, 3 out of these 4 options would work to find the answer. Because remember, I've been telling you, it doesn't matter which one's on the top or the bottom, as long as you have the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to say, okay, well, it's telling me the value and the tax, the value and the tax is my x. So here I have value, tax, the ones that are the same, and value, tax. So this one would work. Here I have tax and value of the first property, tax and value of the second property. So this one would also work. These two are showing the exact same thing. The difference is we have the tax on top here and the tax on bottom here. And then there's one more of these that would work. So this one here would also work because we have the tax is on this side and the value is on this side, but we have property 2 and property 1. So this is telling me that if this value is proportionate to this value, this tax would be proportionate to this tax. This one would also work. This one, however, would not work because here we have, this is the tax from property 1 and the value of property 2. Those two things are not actually related to each other in any way. So this one would not work. Now, if you're looking at a question like this and it just seems super random, one option to find your answer which might take a little bit more time, but one option is you could work out the cross multiplication on all of these. Do the cross multiplication and solve for each one, and you'll find that you have the same answer here, here, and here, but here you'll get a different answer. And that's another way that you can figure this out.